Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank the Right Honourable Lady for advance sight of her statement. Mr. Speaker, the Right Honourable Lady comes to this House with an economy in tatters. She would have us believe that she has delivered the stability and resilience that can weather the storm ahead, but she has done nothing of the kind. When she came into office, she ramped up borrowing and spending and hiked taxes to record levels. She was warned at the time by the OBR and others that her policies would mean higher inflation, higher borrowing costs, higher interest rates, and that she would destroy jobs. All of that, Mr. Speaker, has come to pass. Her mismanagement and foolish choices have given us the highest inflation in the G7, the highest borrowing costs of any major advanced economy, with gilt yields higher than Greece and Morocco, fragile fiscal headroom, the highest unemployment since the pandemic and rising, and GDP per capita falling. Under this government, Mr. Speaker, we are getting poorer, and our economy is increasingly fragile and far from secure and resilient. And despite what the Right Honourable Lady has just said about tiebacks, nothing exemplifies this government's economic folly more than its approach to oil and gas. The utterly misguided net zero obsessions of the Energy Secretary have led to the absurdity of reduced extraction, whilst we see jobs destroyed, tax revenues foregone, and energy security smashed. And the greatest tragedy of all, Mr. Speaker, that in Jackdaw and Rosebank we have fields ready to go. In just months, they could be pumping vital relief to millions. Jackdaw alone has enough gas to supply over 1.5 million homes. Yet the Right Honourable Lady has nothing to say on that matter. And less oil and gas extraction means greater dependency and less security. This road leads to ruin. On energy, on the cost of living, on jobs, on growth, on public finances, on every measure that matters, this Chancellor has left us weak. And in the face of this energy shock, there are millions who are about to suffer as a result. So, with respect to her statement today, could I ask her, how many fuel retailers have yet to engage with the new Fuel Finder service? And can she comment on the widespread reports of technical glitches and out-of-date price information? She mentions a small modular reactor plan for Wilfer. But given the need, can she explain why she has chosen not to go ahead with the large-scale nuclear site that was signed off by the last Conservative government? And specifically on energy cost support, can I ask her what fiscal capacity does the Right Honourable Lady believe she has to support those in need? What is her plan to ensure that any targeted approach truly reaches all those who are in need? And on the matter of targeting, in her statement, Mr. Speaker, the Chancellor criticised the last Conservative government support package for not being targeted. But what she failed to mention is that the now Prime Minister was then urging for support to be universal. Indeed, he said at that time that Labour's approach would ensure, and I quote, that no household would pay a penny more on their bills. No consistency from the Right Honourable Lady. How is she going to ensure that support for those depending on heating oil reaches those who need it most? This support, Mr. Speaker, will, of course, under this government, be funded through the taxes of hard-working people. Indeed, the reduction to energy bills this April is simply being taken from bills and being dumped onto the shoulders of hard-pressed taxpayers. But it does not need to be this way. For is not the critical question this? Where is the control of public spending? Where is the renewed resolve to grasp the welfare bill, to get people off benefits and into work? I will tell you, Mr. Speaker, it is nowhere, because the Right Honourable Lady is a captive of her own backbenchers, and she has brought our economy one step from its knees. She knows it. The country knows it, and now we must all brace ourselves for what is to come, not from a position of strength, as the Right Honourable Lady is so desperate to have us believe, but from a position of weakness, of her own making.
Chancellor of the Exchequer.
I think that statement only revealed that the Shadow Chancellor is utterly out of his depth. Mr. Speaker, in the last 20 months, we've had 6 cuts in interest rates. We have more than doubled the fiscal headroom compared with the headroom that I inherited from the party opposite. For the first time in 6 years, our deficit is less than 5% of GDP, and wages have increased by more than inflation for every single month that I have been Chancellor of the Exchequer, compared to the record of the previous Conservative government, which is the only parliament on record where people were poorer at the end of it than they were at the beginning. So I prefer my record to their record any day of the week. Now, Mr. Speaker, the Shadow Chancellor says that we should act. Well, we have acted. But what the Shadow Chancellor fails to mention is that his party supported us being involved in this conflict. Whilst we have called for de-escalation, the Leader of the Opposition said that we should be a participant in this conflict. The damage that would have done to our economy would have been immense, and yet they make no apology for that. The Leader of the Opposition said yesterday about the Prime Minister that if he is creating a support package that is going to be done with taxpayers' money, then she thinks that we should be doing things that aren't going to cost the taxpayers' money. So on the one hand, you've got the Shadow Chancellor saying that we should do more and put in more money, and then you've got the Leader of the Opposition saying we shouldn't do anything. So where do the party opposite now sit on the £53 million support that we gave on heating oil? Because that was using taxpayers' money to support those who needed it most. It was the right thing to do, but now the Leader of the Opposition seems to suggest that that was the wrong thing to do. Now, the Shadow Chancellor asked a few specific questions. On the cheaper fuel finder that we have introduced, more than 90% of retailers have now signed up to it, and of that 90%, all of them are updating their prices regularly, and we, along with the Competition and Markets Authority, are chasing down the final few that haven't submitted their prices. On small modular reactors, the party opposite say they supported it. They had 14 years and they put not a single penny of money into it. And the same is true of Sizewell C. You can't, on the one hand, say that you think that we should spend less money and then at the same time say that we should be supporting Sizewell C and small modular reactors, because everything has to be paid for. In terms of fiscal capacity, we have more than doubled the headroom compared to what I inherited from the Conservatives. It was less than £10 billion when I became Chancellor of the Exchequer. It is now nearly £24 billion because of the actions that I have taken. The Shadow Chancellor says that we haven't built contingency, where the exact opposite is the case. Now, the Shadow Chancellor says, what about Rosebank and Jackdaw? Well, it was because of the failure to do the work properly that it was challenged in the courts. And 1 month after the previous government left office because they were kicked out, the courts came back and said that we had to reconsider Scope 3 emissions. The energy companies, Shell and Equinor, resubmitted their plans at the end of last year. The regulators...
Sorry. between both of you, you can both go and have that discussion outside if you can't be quiet in here. Chancellor Mel Stride.
This is important because the energy companies came back, thank you Mr Speaker, came back at the end of last year with their revised plans. The regulators are now considering those, and my right honourable friend, the Energy Secretary, will make a decision ahead of the autumn to decide whether it is legal to go ahead with those. But we made a commitment in our manifesto to honour existing licences. It's only because of the failure of the previous government to consult that we are in this position in the first place. And the honourable gentleman, the right honourable gentleman, says that if we cut the welfare bill, we will be able to help people. Well, I'm afraid they had 14 years, and he was the Welfare Secretary when the bills ballooned. So, frankly, we'll take no lessons from the party opposite. It is only Labour that can be responsive to the immediate challenges, because we have been responsible with the public finances, committed to our long-term energy security and committed to make the right decisions in the national interest.